And welcome back to Janky AF and Year of the Aerostar, episode 90. Well, running in the 90s. Here we go. Hope everyone had a good Memorial Day. Sorry, I've been away for a little bit. A lot of stuff going on, but no excuse not to be talking about Aerostars. So we have a great one lined up for today. And I suppose you've waited long enough, so we should just get right into it. Here we have a 1997 Ford Aerostar, listed for just $1,800 in Euclid, Ohio. That's a nice name, Euclid, Ohio. So, about this vehicle, a beautiful shot here, absolutely stunning picture of this Aerostar, and my props to the seller for posting this, and I'll just, sort of cut to the chase here. I happen to know this seller a little bit. We're Instagram buddies, and we talk about Aerostars. I believe I bought some mud flaps off of this gentleman, and so I have a little bit of backstory on this Aerostar, and I've seen it before, and I've gotten somewhat acquainted with the images of it and come to appreciate it. And now it is up for sale due to some unfortunate circumstances, which we'll get into. So that's just, I'll preface it with that. So shout out to you, sir. I will not give away any of your information for your privacy, but we have chatted a little bit about this very van. So that's sort of the backstory, the full disclosure there. And just a stunning, excellent picture of this vehicle in front of the water with the sun. You can see it glistening. You can see how nice the paintwork is on it. About this vehicle, 191,000 miles, automatic transmission, exterior blue, interior color gray. The fuel type is gasoline. It is in good condition. It has over 3 owners, and it is paid off. Okay, so seller's description, and a wonderful description. And it's not just because, I'm sort of acquainted with this person, but I have to say just generally, a wonderful description. This is what you like to see. If I were to write a description for the vehicle, it'd probably be almost identical because it's thorough, it's honest, it's upfront. It doesn't say too much and wax and wane on. However, you get a lot of pertinent information. It's clear, it's concise. So reading a million of these postings, whether it's Aerostars or other vehicles, it's just stunning how sometimes there'll just be no description whatsoever, or it'll just be aggressive or confrontational right off the bat, or it'll be not enough information or just very confusing the way things are written. I've seen vehicles that say, in great condition, needs nothing, like transmission is dead or something. It's just like complete contradictions that just make you, it makes your head spin. And it's so confusing to even maybe approach the seller because you're already getting sort of red flags, or you're already getting, when you're buying a vehicle, especially a used vehicle, it's going to have some stuff wrong with it, inevitably. So the best thing you can do is just give an honest portrayal of that vehicle to the best of your knowledge, because there are things about it, as usually you're not the first owner, that you may not even know, but you give the best description to your knowledge from living with this vehicle that you can. And I think that's what's been done here. So again, props. 1997 Ford Aerostar dash minivan dash driven 191,000 miles. If you're looking at this, I assure you it's available. Don't ask. Love it. That's the elephant in the room. And even though it is a bit, I don't want to say confrontational, but it's a necessary proviso. It's so silly to me that Facebook still even has this button, this auto click of, is it available? Like, they should just remove that option altogether, because it causes nothing but trouble. It's a Rube Goldberg machine. It's this thing that, you list a vehicle and you get 1,000 people or, 56 people clicking that button because something in them, wants to fantasize or dream or just annoy people. I was listing a vehicle one time for sale, And I said, please don't ask if it's available. And, and then sure enough, I get the, is it available, auto push, where they didn't even take the time to type it out. They just had to click one button. Way too easy. And I said, well, if you read the description, it's available. And then they went on to say, well, I did that the other day for someone and then it wasn't available, so it wasted my time or whatever. And blah, blah, blah. If you've ever looked at or listed or bought a vehicle off Marketplace, you know the dilemma that I'm talking about. And it's really just on Facebook to remove that button altogether. But neither here nor there. Blown head gasket. So that's the big bump, bump, bump. That's why this vehicle is listed so cheap. As you can see, it's in just, very, very nice condition aesthetically, but it does have a blown head gasket. Now, 191,000 miles, not bad. It had a really good run, but that's obviously something on a vehicle that's older and market value, sentimentality notwithstanding, is not worth like a ton of money. So, that brings up the question, well, do I fix it? Do I sell it and try to get another one? Do I just get out of it altogether? So that's what's going on here. 3-liter engine, it doesn't say engine, but 3.0 L, extra front bumper, in parentheses, gold, not perfect, but good backup. So even on the bumper, even on an extra front bumper, they're going into detail to tell you what condition the extra front bumper is in. Just really appreciate, the honesty and the detail and the upfrontness of that. Stock grille, 2 sets of wheels / tires. I also have the original red-white taillight lenses. Now, when they say stock grille, I'm guessing they mean the original stock grille because, and I'm, again, all over the place here, but this is the grille that came on the 86 through 88 Aerostars. And I was just talking about this recently in another episode. So it's a cool little trick because being a 97, you have like sort of a really cool thing because you've incorporated an element from the original Aerostar. The first year of the Aerostar had this grille in 86. And then obviously if you look in the back, now actually these are not 97 taillights. So maybe they've changed those too. But you have, well, I guess that kind of, probably should have looked at that first. If you had the 97 taillights, that'd be cool because you'd have something that identifies it as the last year. And if you had this grille, you'd have something that identifies it at least as, the first 3 years of the vehicle. So that's kind of cool to bring all those elements together. Oh, well, there you go. Just tripping over myself in this episode. I also have the original red-white taillight lenses. If I just stay on one track, it would all make sense, but I keep jumping around and I'm missing the pertinent piece of information right before I get to it. So I also have the original red-white tail lenses. OEM radio recently died, replaced with an older Sony CD/Bluetooth. Kind of awesome to have Bluetooth in your Aerostar, let's be honest. Interior is a little rough, parentheses, most of which from previous owner. I like that. Like, listen everybody, I did not treat my Aerostar this poorly. But mostly your average toddler related stuff. That's pretty great because when I think of average toddler related stuff, I think of, feces, quite honestly, but I don't think they mean feces in this case. Probably just snot and goo and whatever, or spilling stuff, Original bench seats were trashed, replaced with nicer ones from a 94. So right here you can see that a lot of care and effort and like style has been put into this Aerostar. Different taillights, different grille. They've really, customized it to make it their perfect Aerostar, which I really, really appreciate. Van came from Ohio to Pennsylvania, rust-proof by Crown, KROWN in 2020. Some rust starting on the one rocker. I have the Carfax and most of the service records since I've owned it, February 2018, 157K. So that's pretty great because it's up to 191 now. So that's almost 60, 70, 80, yeah, it's almost 40,000 miles that have been put on this van. Since 2018, so 5 years ago, but that's 8,000 miles a year approximately. So that's pretty awesome that this has been driven and used and enjoyed. Really, really cool. I have nowhere near that many miles on my Aerostars, shamefully and regrettably. It ain't perfect, but it cleans up well. Been my daily driver, there you go, since purchasing it. I hate to sell it, but might be time to move on. Had to put a price up, but best offer, obviously. So there you go. You know, you're getting the whole story. This is truly a my loss is your gain type posting, even though it doesn't say it, because you know, just the amount that's probably been invested in this Aerostar already is probably pretty close to the asking price. Now, again, you know, you may have people overbidding what they're listing it for, because to get an Aerostar in this condition, and yeah, a head gasket. Now, I think they did tell me the price they were quoted to fix the head gasket. I won't say that information here, just again, out of privacy and respect. But you know, you're going to be putting some money in this Aerostar. If you're mechanically inclined and you can do it yourself, you could significantly save a lot of that money. But the wheels, the tires, the grille, the extra taillights, the extra bumper, the new seats that have been installed in the rear, just a lot of stuff that has gone into making this Aerostar, the rust proofing service. So, you know, and seller, again, I won't use your name, and I've already voiced this privately. I think you should fix this vehicle and hold on to it, because it's an absolute gem. I love this blue color. It's like a pretty rare color, I would say, on these Aerostars. It's not quite a baby blue. I think I've seen this color maybe on a Sport before. I'm not sure if it's the Calypso blue, it might be. Don't quote me on that. I think it's got a cool name though. With the grille and just the whole package, it's the roof rack, and it's a standard length. I love the wheels on it. It's just beautiful, you know. Another buddy of mine, shout out to Todd, who's in Portland, Oregon currently, said he saw an Aerostar drive by the other day, and it had like the freshest, nicest coat of paint on it he'd ever seen. It was glistening and shimmering. And we forget that a lot of these vehicles we see are in such, not poor condition, but patinaed and weathered and used condition, that you forget what it must have been like to see one of these, you know, coming off the dealer lot, just like shimmering in the sunlight as this one is doing, and really how striking and beautiful they were. And I love a patina. I absolutely love the patina on my brown 1986 Aerostar. And I even like my green 93 Aerostar, that it's very good, but there's some, you know, little rough spots, little scratches, what have you, little things where the pinstriping and some of the decals are starting to fade and peel a little bit. I don't mind that because I'm, you know, janky, and I like those things. I appreciate those things. However, there's always part of me that pines for this sort of aesthetic perfection, you know, or near perfection in this case, where you really, you know, when there's really nice looking paint on these, you see how radiant they are, and it truly brings out all the little contours and body lines and accents, and you see just, wow, what an amazing looking vehicle this is. So, you know, just an appreciation post here. Again, you can see it up close here. Really, really good condition. I mean, you can see the quality of that paint, and those beautiful Cooper Cobra radials with the white lettering on them. Now, I love a white wall, but I think with these sort of truck style wheels, just the lettering looks really, really good. It has a nice stance to it. And we'll just sort of wind through these. You can see the underbody, very, very clean. I mean, this thing came from Ohio, and that's pretty impressive. You know, at some point this was probably garage. There you can see the little bit of rust happening on the rocker. Really just looks like paint peel and surface rust. Doesn't look really pokey or anything like that. But again, it's stone chips and all that. We really do appreciate, looks like it's been jacked up on that point right there, which maybe is causing some of the paint peel, quite honestly. But again, the transparency of this post, like if you buy this vehicle, so many times you're gambling and really guessing on what's going on with it. And this, you just have a lot of confidence that you know the exact conditions, so you can sort of go accordingly and not, you know, wonder if something's gone wrong or something's going to go wrong. You just have a really good sense of what you're getting. And that's all you can ask for when you're buying a used vehicle. Okay, the interior, again, we see a little bit of fade and staining and stuff like that, but I really do love these seats. These do look like they're almost like the bluish gray seats. You see the beautiful Aerostar floor mats there. Of course, the wonderful long handbrake down by the seats, just like a car would have. You have your power windows, which is very, very nice. I love the power window switches, the color coding on them. And a nice little wrap. It was funny, my 86 had the exact same wrap around the wheel, except there was a tan, and where the string like wraps all the way around the leather. It's very kind of like old school, bound in almost. And obviously this is your sort of updated interior, your post facelift interior. I really, really like it. There's a lot to be said about it. I love the roundness to it. It really did like sort of was a precursor to what Ford was doing at the time. The new Taurus came out right around this time, the bubbly Taurus that only really lasted a few years before they facelifted that. And I think the original looks so much better, but that's another story for another day. You know, again, yeah, not a perfect interior, but certainly in good condition. I don't see like a lot of rips or tears or anything like that. Headliner a little bit scuffed, very, very common. These headliners, the headliners and the bumpers were kind of the weak points on these in terms of just how they held up over time. The fabric became brittle and just wasn't that sort of durable to begin with. But again, you're getting a good look at what it is. Now there is a tear here, very, very common. My green Aerostar has sort of a similar thing like this. Now this can be remedied. You can put some more padding in there and you can sew this up. It's not a huge deal. But again, this is a daily driven Aerostar. And as we all know, the Aerostar is very, very capable of doing work and transporting people and things. And along the way, you know, things happen. That's life. Door handle pull here coming off a little bit. Looks like we do have a couple of, not rivets, but just like sheet metal screws sort of holding it in place for now. Again, you're getting such a great, but you know, look at the inside door panel here. Like no rust here, still very, very clean. And even the paint still in very, very good condition. So a lot to like here, you know, on a minivan that's been driven 191,000 miles and is 25 years old. Pretty amazing condition. The engine bay still looks like it's in very nice condition. You can see your, you know, where it was painted inside your engine bay. Nothing perfect, but you know, still quite nice. Like not a lot of surface rust. You can see that 3-liter engine in there. Everything pretty neatly packaged. Looks like your wires and everything are still neatly packaged and not weird fixes on fixes dangling around everywhere. So here's a great nighttime shot. Really appreciate that, and a great profile sort of shot here. And you can see like how the proportions of this vehicle, especially the standard length, not as opposed to the extended length, it's really quite squat, you know, for a minivan. It does almost have this sort of, especially with these little bigger tires and wheels, have this sort of like muscular stance to it. And it really does strike a really cool pose. And now that cars have gotten so much bigger and so much busier, when you see one of these in real life, it's sort of like a breath of fresh air because they're not that big. They're really not that big. And I think the length to the width, they're actually quite wide. You know, you think about, I always compare Aerostars to sports cars. A lot of sports cars, even though they're small a lot of times, they're quite wide. You know, a wider track is better handling and all that. And they really just have amazing proportions when you see them in real life. Again, shot of the taillights here. Obviously, these are a replacement taillight. And we do have a little bit of a, you know, it's so sneaky because you see some of these crazy graphics packages on a lot of cars from the 80s and 90s in general, and Aerostars certainly have some cool ones. But I like how there's just these really little subtle things in there too, like this little subtle pinstripe. You probably wouldn't even know it's there unless you saw this picture, you saw it in person. But this little double blue, you know, different width lines, little sort of dark blue there to accent your light blue. Just wonderful. Here's a great picture, man. Maybe I'll use this as that. It looks like it did have white walls on it at one time. Perhaps these are the older tires and wheels, and that looks quite stunning as well. With your sort of more 80s grille there. That might be the thumbnail there, as usually I will take it and horizontally reverse it in Photoshop, so you get a little behind the scenes here, so you get that like little mirror image. I learned that from a great the fellow named Joachim Hoffman when I was in Bremen, Germany, that would do that in a lot of his photography. It's become quite popular now, but he was the first one I saw that really took advantage of that, and I've always used it since, so shout out to him. Another great profile shot. Again, it looks like this is maybe sort of a little bit of a compendium of pictures from, who can see it with it. Wow, I really do like this older setup with you have your like chrome wheel ring here with the black wheels with the, you know, very iconic Ford little dash in there with your white wall tires. And I think these come with it too, so you have your choice. A lot of great pictures from over the year, like a little scrapbook of Aerostardom. Yeah, that's a really great look right there with that metal ring and the white wall tire. But both looks are really good, you know. You can go either way, whatever you're feeling on the day, you know, just flip off the lug nuts and put the new set of sneakers on, and there you go. Built for comfort, not for speed. I love that. A little bumper sticker there, which also seems to be covering up a little bit of crack in the bumper. That is phenomenal. Just a little piece of, and if I bought this vehicle, of course I would keep that on there. It's always nice to keep a little part of the previous ownership as you carry the vehicle along, whether it's a dealer badge or some sort of bumper sticker that's kind of, you know, significant to the previous owner. I like to keep those things on there just as a little tribute to the lineage of, you know, whoever was the caretaker of this vehicle at that time through the years. And going back to the beginning. So my analysis or my prescription to the seller would be to hold on to it, get that head gasket fixed. You know, maybe, and this is a little crazy, but maybe go see if you can find, you know, at that point at 191,000 miles, these 3-liter engines can't be that hard to find. Maybe you even manual swap it. Because I think find, you know, the drivetrain, the engine and transmission for Aerostars is fairly cheap. Maybe you spend a little bit more than you would do to get the head gasket fixed, and maybe you just get a much lower mileage engine in there, or maybe you manual swap it, and then you've spent a little bit more, but you've made it kind of a lot better. So, you know, just a few options out there. Now, I understand, you know, money doesn't grow on trees, and sometimes you gotta cut bait, and sometimes you gotta pass it along, and sometimes you gotta move in a different direction. So if that's the case, and you're a buyer rather than a seller that I'm talking to right now, I mean, treat this thing right, you know, give it a good home, and keep it as nice as it is, because it really is a beautiful looking Aerostar. I really can't get over the combination of the grille and the paint. It really is striking. It's just beautiful. I love that color. And you can see it's a little bit more gray in this light and a little bit more blue in this light. So it's almost like, you know, changes a little bit in the sunlight, which is really, really cool. Looks like you do have maybe like a little mini rain guard there, which I love. We've talked about that in previous episodes if you've seen. So there you have it. 1997 Ford Aerostar, 191,000 miles. Shout out to you, seller, anonymous seller, who chats with me on Instagram. Good luck to you. Godspeed, and we'll see what happens. Well, hopefully I'll be able to post an update if this sells or if they decide to get it fixed, and keep you all informed. But that's just a really, really good, nice, solid episode 90, I think, here on Year of the Aerostar, here on Janky AF. And we thank you all. Janky do thank you so much for watching. Sorry it's been a little bit of delay, but we will be churning more out now that we're sort of situated again and back in the groove. And we'll have many more coming, and another one coming very soon. And until then, Janky do thank you.
One small step for man.